Sonia Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Jinendra, Jai Swaminarayan, Sairam. Good evening to you all. I hope you're all fine and not stressed. We've got an exciting topic today. So, so I thank you for joining us for our talk 3 in our Emotional Wellbeing Insights series. So today's focus is on stress. We're delighted to welcome Dr. Zander Van de Walt, and an experienced chiropractor practicing since 2008, who brings deep expertise in understanding the links between mental health, physical healing, and emotional well-being. In today's session, we'll explore what mental health truly means, how stress can negatively impact your health and recovery, and most importantly, learn practical strategies to manage stress through meditation, nutrition, and the mind body connection. So, this promises to be an insightful and empowering session designed to help you build resilience, restore balance, and enhance your overall well being. So, let's begin this journey to a better health and inner calm. Let's invite Dr. Zander. Good evening, Dr. Zander. Can't can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. Yes, thank you for the introduction. I hope everyone's keeping well.
And
So
it would
hopefully,
Yes, and it would be really nice if everybody had their videos on, because then he is interactive with you all, and then he knows that he's talking to human beings and not machines. Thank you. All yours.
thank you. So thank you very much for attending. I hope everyone's been able to join in for the other two talks that we've covered in terms of posture and obviously back pain. So what we're going to covering today is all about stress. So I'm sure everyone has some degree of stress because unfortunately it's impossible not to have any stress unless you sit in a nice holiday on the beach somewhere, etc. So what we'll be talking about tonight is obviously how stress impacts our health and how it essentially can cause or leads to pain and disease, and how we can further help ourselves in terms of doing certain strategies to help reduce the effect of stress on your health and your body. And hopefully by the end, you'll be able to practice some of these techniques and obviously help to de-stress and just calm, create a sense of calm. So we'll try and take some questions in between. So if you do have any questions, then obviously just make a note of them and we can try and cover them. And then at the end, we'll have some time for questions as well. Okay, so can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so we've touched upon this previously. In terms of just as a recap, and for everyone that's new, the way that our body works is that everything in our body is controlled by one system. So that system is your central nerve system, which is made up of your brain and the spinal cord, and then the nerves which exit the spine. So that is your master controller and master system in your body. So every function in your body is regulated by your nervous system. Now, what stress does is that it causes a disruption to the function of your nervous system, and it pushes the nervous system into what's called a sympathetic or a fight-flight response. So we'll cover that a little bit later on. Now, you can therefore see if your master system, which is your brain and your spinal cord, if your nervous system is dysfunctional, you can therefore see that every other function and system in your body can then be compromised. Now, it's really important for us to work on the nervous system because if the nervous system is calm, that means all of the other systems in the body is able to function better. And what stress does, it causes a disruption in the brain. And when the brain is in a stressful response, it therefore keeps sending negative signals into the body. The way our body works is like a loop. So the brain sends information down your spinal cord, out of your nerves, into each of these parts of your body. That information then travels back into the spinal cord, back to the brain. So it's like a loop. This is happening 24/7. Now, what stress represents is negative input and negative output. So the brain doesn't receive adequate sensory information because it's in that stress response and it's prioritizing a fight or a flight response. So that's what we mean by that sympathetic or that stress response. So for us to work on getting everything calmed down, we'll talk about how you can employ strategies to work on improving that system. So as a chiropractor, my role is to work on getting your nervous system as healthy as we can do by correcting any restrictions or misalignments in your spine. So what stress does, it creates tension in your body, it creates muscle imbalances, and then it would lead to your chemical disruptions in your hormones, which then lead to muscle imbalances. And then once that joint moves out of its normal alignment, it then stays there. It's not going to move back by itself. So we can't stretch it, we can't ice it, we can't take a painkiller for it. It needs to be manually adjusted. So as chiropractors, we work on analyzing and detecting any of these misalignments and restrictions in the spine to work on gently correcting them and helping your body function better. Because as you can see, 90% of your brain's stimulation and its nutrition is generated by how healthy your spine is. So if your spine isn't healthy, your brain isn't going to be healthy. When chiropractors adjust the spine, we are literally changing your brain's structure and its function. Okay, let me go back. So this is your master system. So your brain, your spinal cord, and then the nerves which exit, which is then protected by your spine and your skull. So therefore, it's really important for me as a chiropractor to assess the function of how well your spine is and how well or how your spine is impacting the health of your nervous system. Now, as a definition of health, health, according to the World Health Organization, is a state of complete physical, chemical, and social or mental and emotional well-being. And it's how well you maintain the health of your gut, so how well you feed your body, how well you move your body, as well as the way you think and the way you feel. So if you keep thinking of things that bother you over and over and over, you are literally changing your brain's structure and its function. We have things in the brain called neurons. So a neuron looks like a little stringy thing here and then another thing here. If you learn a new skill, like learning to ride a bike or learning for an exam or learning a new language, anything you're doing new or reading a book, you are growing your brain. So we have neurons growing here and then one growing here. So the more you do things over and over and over, they start growing and eventually they form a connection. That process is called neuroplasticity. It's your brain's ability to change its structure and its function. Now, if you keep thinking of things that bother you over and over and over, whether that be finances or health related or whatever it is, you're literally growing your brain into an unhealthy state. However, the reverse is also true. So the more you think of positive things and the happier you get, the more you are changing that. Okay. So the more you think about positive things, the healthier your brain becomes. You're also triggering other things. So we have chemicals in the brain called serotonin and endorphins. So those are your happy hormones, which we'll cover about a little bit later on, okay? So what stress represents is the biggest cause of illness in the world. So moral of the story is don't stress. Now, that's easier said than done, unfortunately. For me, the biggest thing that I would applaud you to do is to make a list and to figure out what are the main things which stress you. Whether that be, like I said, finances, health related, whatever it is, make a list for yourself so you know what are the main things which stress you. And then just break it down. There are a lot of strategies that you can do, which we'll talk about later on, that will help you to manage how you deal with stress. Okay. However, if you don't know the things that trigger your stress, it's really difficult to work on strategies to manage it. Okay. So, like I said, if you have a list, you know which are the main things which stress you, then it's a lot easier when you do get in a stress response to work on strategies to manage those stressful situations or thoughts. Now, what stress represents is imagine when we are born, you are born with a backpack, which is empty. What stress represents is putting a rock in your backpack. So life then eventually just gets a lot more difficult. Okay. So my job as a chiropractor, and I'm assuming for a lot of other health professionals, is to work out when you come and see us or whenever you have a health assessment, is to try to get as much information and background so we can help you to start getting those rocks out of your backpack. Okay. Because if 90% of chronic diseases, which is high blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis, cholesterol, those are chronic health conditions. If, as we've just seen, most of those conditions are lifestyle diseases or stress related, let's work on managing your lifestyle and let's work on managing how your body deals and how you deal effectively with stress. So there are a lot of components to what stress is. So we have stress, worry, anxiety, grief, sadness, lack of job satisfaction, peer pressure, any traumatic events. So any pots, if someone's had a, for example, a childhood traumatic event, that gets stored in your subconscious brain. And that keeps rewiring over and over and over. Okay, so like I said, if you have a list of things which you know are stressful, it's a lot easier to manage that rather than trying to deal with the effects of the stress, which is pain and disease. Does that make sense? Okay. So we talked about this last time for those who attended. it's very important for you to be as upright and have good posture because your posture is very closely linked to your emotions and your emotional response. Now, if you look at someone who's sad, lonely, depressed, how is their posture generally going to be? They're going to be down, they're going to be slouching. Now, if that happens, obviously you can therefore see how that is closely linked to your emotions. So if you sit upright, it is a very good way for you to manage stress. When you think positively, or when you have a good posture, you are able to think better and recall better positive thoughts. So do some exercises. Obviously, there are a lot of exercises you can do to work on improving your posture. So basic things like doing a chin tuck. So getting that chin neutral over your shoulders rather than having it sticking forward. So that's one way to work on improving your posture. Or you can, most people have rounded shoulders. So basically, you just take the shoulders and then just pull them backwards and squeeze the shoulder blades together. So doing that and doing a chin tuck and arching your low back so you're sitting nice and straight rather than slouching, those are the three easiest ways for you to maintain good sitting posture at least. Okay. Now, this is very important. So I'd like you to pay attention. This is our autonomic nervous system. Our autonomic nervous system, you can think of your automatic responses. So it is divided into two parts. We have the good part and we have the bad part. What stress does, it kicks this part into action. So our sympathetic or your fight flight response does all the bad things. Now, it's good in a acute short term. Thousands of years ago, this was very good because, if you were being chased by a tiger, you want that system to kick in the short term. So what happens is your pupils constrict because you need to get more light in. Your hearing increases. All the blood is pushed from your organs and squeezed into your muscles because your body is preparing to run or to fight something or someone. The heart rate accelerates because it needs to push and pump all that blood around your body quickly. Your pancreas releases insulin, which is your fuel, because your body needs fuel to either fight or to run away. And it shuts down your immune system, it shuts down your reproductive system, and it shuts down your digestive system. Okay. Now that is good when you have a acute short-term burst, like I said, to run away or you're thinking the worst. The problem is that system is not designed for stress. And unfortunately, the world we live in is 24/7 stress. Okay. You wake up, you check your phone. Do I have an email from work? I need to do this. I need to get on the bus. I'm late for work. You get to work, I've got this deadline to do. I've got to do this phone call. You can see that system working overtime, how that could then lead to things like IBS, constipation, high blood pressure, diabetes, etc. Because it's a long-term inflammatory response. So the way for us to get that system back to normal is things we'll talk about in a second. At the minute, everyone is here. Everyone is nice and calm, everyone is nice and relaxed. Your heart is beating nicely, everything is relaxed, your immune system is doing its job, your digestive system, you're breathing nicely, your pupils are letting enough light in, so everything is calm. That is where you we need to get you to a stage where we can monitor and maintain regulation between these two systems. Okay. Now, how stress impacts your health. The root cause of illness is down to two factors. Anyone want to guess what those two things are? No. It's high blood glucose or high blood sugar and inflammation. That is the root cause of all illness as a result of this system working over time. So there are a lot of ways we need to work on, or that you can work on, to get your nervous system back to balance. The quickest and the best way to do that is to breathe. Now, there are a lot of different breathing exercises you can do. Another way is just to move your body. Your body is not designed, and your spine especially, which remember protects your nervous system, is not designed to sit. It's designed to move. When you move, you're stimulating your brain. So yoga, breathing exercises, meditation, these are all very good ways for you to manage not only your spinal health and well-being, and therefore your nervous system's health and well-being, but it's also very important to work on getting your nervous system back from that to that. So you take a deep breath in, you hold, you breathe out. You keep repeating. That's one way. There's a breathing exercise that's called box breathing. So box breathing is you breathe in for 5 seconds, you hold for 5 seconds, you breathe out for 5 seconds, you hold for 5 seconds. That's simple, box breathing. Okay. Or you can do nasal breathing. So nasal breathing is closing the nostril, breathing in from the nostril, closing, breathing out from the other one. Okay. That increases the oxygen supply to the brain and it stimulates the main nerve, which is called your vagus nerve, which we'll talk about in a second, to get everything calmed down. So just do breathing exercises. So the root cause of illness is high blood sugar and inflammation. So what stress does, it causes basically a state of oxidative stress, which is an imbalance in your body. There are too many things called free radicals. So free radicals are unstable molecules, and therefore you don't have enough antioxidants to get rid of the free radicals. So if you can therefore see that if your body is in a constant stress response, we have too many bad chemicals and too little of the soldiers to fight them. So if that keeps happening day in, day out, day in, day out, you can therefore see how your health can be affected. So when we get stressed, we get the hormones of stress getting released. So those hormones are cortisol and adrenaline. Now, those stress hormones are so effective at shutting down your immune system. They are given therapeutically to patients who have organ transplants. If a patient has, for example, a new kidney, that patient is given stress hormones, so their immune system is shut down straight away. So the body doesn't reject the foreign tissue. So if those stress hormones have that profound effect, how do you think your body is going to react by having stress hormones every single day from stress? It's not a good thing. Within 7 minutes of you being stressed, you lose 50 IQ points. That's why you can't think properly when you're stressed, because your memory is affected. You don't lose them permanently, obviously they come back. So that's why it's so important for you to be able to know what your main stresses are and how to manage the stress. Because your nutrients get depleted, your immune system is shut down, those stress hormones are pushing your body in the fight-flight response. That leads to that low-grade inflammatory response. It leads to tissue damage, which then further exacerbates that stress response. So then you're just stuck in this vicious cycle. And you could therefore see your body is not designed to live in a state of chronic inflammation. So, like I said, what stress response does is it pushes and forces and squeezes the blood out of your organs and into your muscles. So it's really important, like I said, for you to manage how we stress or how you manage with stress. The hormones of stress, they also affect your cells. So in our cells, we have obviously your DNA. So that's what you're made of. So 50% mom, 50% dad, that's your DNA. So those hormones of stress, they downregulate your genes and they lead to disease. Okay. Your emotions and your thoughts also trigger a stressful response. If, for example, someone was involved in an accident or car accident, you're walking down the road, minding your own business, and then there's a big bang. Straight away, you think your mind goes to that stressful event, which is a car accident, and your body is in a fight flight stress response. So that is how you can trigger a stress response just by thinking alone. Does that make sense? Okay. So this is what happens to your body or our bodies when you get stressed. Does this make sense? So decreased memory, like I said, that's 50 IQ points within 7 minutes. It reduces your serotonin. Serotonin is your happy hormone. That is produced by your gut bacteria. 70% of your immune system is located in your gut. If your immune system is shut down, that means your gut bacteria can't make your happy hormone. Okay? Increased stress hormones, increasing all your bad hormones, leading to changes in your bone and muscle mass because obviously your body needs nutrients. And what does it do? It takes it from your bones, it takes it from your muscles, it takes it from wherever it can. So people who have long-term stress, they have an increased risk of developing things like osteoporosis because of your bone minerals being compromised. So things like calcium, magnesium, these are all minerals that your body needs basically because it's trying to manage stress. Okay. So, like I said, 70% of our immune system is located in our gut. Probably one of the most, if not the most important nerve in your body is your vagus nerve. So your vagus nerve is in the back part of the brain and it goes into all of your organs. It goes into your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, your stomach, the intestines. So your vagus nerve takes your happy hormone, which your bacteria make in your gut, back to your brain. Now, problem is when we get stressed, that vagus nerve can't take your happy hormone to your brain because your body is in that stress response. Okay. So obviously, if you're stressed, you're not happy. And that's the reason why. Now, the best way for you to look after your gut, apart from not being stressed, is to eat or drink foods or drinks that contain probiotics. So that would be things like kefir, kombucha, sauerkraut, any probiotic drinks. So it's very important because you need to nourish your gut health. I can see you smiling, Doris. I think you're agreeing with me then.
Yes, and William and I talked about it this morning, and my son was on the other end of the phone. He said, next time you're going to Sainsbury's, buy some sauerkraut and some kimchi. So
Good,
that's what we're going to do.
good. So yes, by eating or drinking those, your gut bacteria start making and producing your happy hormone. And then the key thing is just to make sure that your vagus nerve can help regulate between these two systems.
Mm.
So one of the ways for you to work on getting your vagus nerve activated is breathing. Okay. Now, when me as a chiropractor, when chiropractors work on your spine, whenever we perform a chiropractic spinal adjustment, it sends a neurochemical signal into your spinal cord up to your brain, so the brain starts making changes. So rather than the brain having to deal with all of these neurological things because it has to think over time, and those neurons over time, obviously eventually growing, we can break that and we can get your nervous system healthier by getting your posture improved and getting everything better regulated so that your vagus nerve can start controlling the communication between your brain and your gut better. Now, if you're in a bad mood, or if you're stressed, or if you've got other things on your mind, or you're using your phone when you're eating or watching TV, you can lose potentially up to 80% of the nutrients from the food that you're eating because of the connection between your brain and your gut and your vagus nerve not being able to take the nutrients from your stomach into the intestines, back to the brain, etc. So when you eat, pay attention to what you're eating, chew your food slowly. So your brain then starts releasing your digestive enzymes, which then breaks the food up. So by the time it's in your stomach, it's already partially digested. And then the stomach, intestines, everything can start extracting the nutrients better and easier. Don't do anything apart from, speak with your family and friends, whatever, but don't watch TV. Don't eat, never eat when you're stressed, never eat when you're in a bad mood, because you will not get the nutrients. What I mean by nutrients are things like all your vitamins, all your minerals, okay? Sodium, potassium, magnesium, all of these things, protein. If you're not getting enough protein, your body can't grow healthy muscle. Okay. From the age of 30, we lose between 1 and 2% of bone and muscle mass every year, unless you're eating the right foods, you're doing regular exercise. But if you have chronic stress, you can eat the healthiest food on the planet, but you're not getting the nutrients because of the connection between your brain and your gut. So it's really important to maintain, yes, a healthy, balanced diet and lifestyle, but also to watch your mental health and your mental well-being. So, in terms of what to eat and what not to eat, there is a long list. These are just some basic things for you to take away. Again, what chronic stress does is inflammation. Inflammation is if you keep eating all the bad stuff, it's putting fuel on a fire. So it just increases and exacerbates that stressful and inflammatory response. So any processed food or ultra processed food, that is not food, it is processed. Okay. Sugar, gluten, carbohydrates, alcohol, any refined carbohydrates, any type of seed oils. Okay. You don't want to have seed oils. Rapeseed oil now is in everything. It's in crisps, biscuits, cakes. When that gets heated, it creates really nasty chemicals. Okay. And it damages the heart lining. Eat and drink good stuff. Okay. Any green leafy vegetables. Blueberries have huge amount of antioxidants. So we talked earlier about those free radicals. So when we get stressed, the body releases free radicals. Now, if you don't have enough of those antioxidants, there's always going to be an imbalance. So if we start increasing the antioxidants, your body has a better chance to fight those free radicals. So blueberries have a huge amount of uh, antioxidants. Omega-3, oily fish, nuts, especially walnuts, are very important because you need omega-3 in your diet. Every cell in your body needs omega-3, and it's the only thing your body can't make. Okay. So oily fish, so that will be things like sea bass, tuna, mackerel, herring. That needs to be at least 2 to 3 times a week. If you're vegetarian like me, you have to take a supplement. So there are a lot of algae-based supplements that you can take, which are plant-based or algae-based. But you have to have omega-3. Okay, it's extremely important for your brain health and it's very important for your heart health. But like I said, every cell in your body needs it. Now, your mitochondria are the parts of your cell that make energy. What stress represents is a depletion in your nutrient store, meaning your mitochondria can't produce enough energy. So a lot of people who have chronic stress, if you look at their energy levels, they're either hyperactive because they just on the go 24/7, or they are low, they're down, they don't have any energy, they don't want to do anything. That is because of the function of the mitochondria. The best diet on the planet to help for your mitochondrial function is your Mediterranean diet. So Mediterranean diet is things like coffee, red wine. If you want to drink wine, red wine, I'm not saying drink alcohol, but that's what the Mediterranean diet is. Lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, grilled vegetables, fish, olive oil, eggs. That is the best diet on the planet. So if there's any type of diet that you want to try, you can have the Mediterranean diet. It's suitable for anyone. Okay. The reason why is it helps your mitochondria to function better. If you're eating the right foods, your mitochondria make more energy, you get happier and you get healthier. You then add things like omega-3 and your probiotics, so your gut bacteria then starts making your happy hormone. You can therefore see how these small steps over time will then help to improve your health. Now, last couple of things. Your vagus nerve is extremely important. These are ways for you to help to activate it. So during yoga or during meditation, you can do things like chanting. You can activate the nerve by breathing, and obviously you can do that separately or can do that if you want to do yoga or any type of meditation. Okay. Your probiotics, which then improve your gut health, and then that obviously helps with the health of your vagus nerve as well. There is another technique, it's called EFT. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. So EFT or tapping is basically there are a lot of points over your body where you will basically work on tapping. Now, by tapping and then saying things like positive affirmations, I'm happy, I'm calm, I'm safe. The easiest way I can explain it is basically if you're stressed or upset or emotional, if someone comes and gives you a hug or puts their hand on your shoulder, straight away you're calmer. Why is that? It's because your brain prioritizes the sensory or the touch signal over your emotional response. So if you're a child, you've fallen down, your mom or your dad gives you a hug and picks you up, straight away you're going to feel calmer. Same thing, if you're stressed, if you're anxious, whatever, if someone puts a hand on your shoulder or puts a hand on your hand or any type of touch, straight away you feel calmer and more relaxed. So what EFT it does is exactly the same thing. So I'm sure you can search it up, YouTube it. It's very simple to do. Okay. And just smile. Okay. When you smile, you're activating the muscles in the face. That sends signals to your brain. So your brain then releases the serotonin and all your endorphins, so you feel happier. It takes 13 muscles to smile. It takes 64 muscles to frown. So smile. It's easier. It's a lot less hard work. Other ways, go for a walk, read a book, write in a journal. So you're putting your thoughts on paper. Okay. Do yoga, do any type of exercise, play tennis, play football. Okay. Do breathing or meditation, etc. Now, last couple of things, and we have some questions. These are your different parts of your brain. Now, your prefrontal cortex, which is the front part of the brain, does a lot of things. It's obviously related to your mood and your emotions and your mental health. When chiropractors adjust your spine, we are changing the part of your brain called your prefrontal cortex, meaning that people who have chiropractic long term, they are happier and healthier. But also that part of your brain, for reference, is involved in pain becoming chronic. Okay. Now, your cerebellum, which is the back part of your brain, that's the part of your brain involved in your posture. We talked earlier and last week about how important your posture is, not only in your overall health, but also in your mental and emotional health. Okay. And your hippocampus, your memory and your mood and your emotions. So again, when you're stressed, that part of the brain is compromised. That's why you can't think straight, and that's why you're so emotional. That's a cell. Your body is made up of, depending on who you read, 50 to 100 trillion cells, and each cell in your body looks exactly the same as that. Every second we've got cells dying, every second we've got cells being replaced. Your health is down to how well you eat, how well you move, and how well you think. That is your mitochondria. So that's the part of your cell which makes your energy. And then inside in here, we'll have your DNA as well. So this is your DNA. That's your nucleus. And then obviously we have the other parts of the cell. If you keep thinking of things that bother you over and over, which are your positive thoughts, it makes happy cells and it makes a happy brain. If you keep thinking of things that bother you over and over and over again, it makes you sick because it makes and affects your cellular health. Why do you think the placebo effect works? Placebo effect is I give you a sweet and I tell you this is going to fix your blood pressure, for example, and your blood pressure comes down. Was the belief in the medication, which is just sugar pill. So that is how you use positive thoughts for health. However, the opposite is also true. It's called the nocebo effect. So if you keep thinking of things that bother you and you get stressed and emotional all the time, that is how you create illness and disease. This is a happy, healthy, normal brain on a PET scan. This is a depressed brain. So all of these green areas are areas of part of the brain which is working properly. So you can see the big difference. That's it. Any questions?
Hi.
Yes.
You talked about sorry, it's Nalini speaking. You
Uh,
talked about some supplements for vegetarians. Are you able to give us the names of those supplements or the brands?
I'm not a nutritional therapist. I can give you a rough idea. I can obviously tell you what I take. So I take, because like I said, I'm vegetarian, but I don't eat egg or fish either. So I take, and again, general rule, you need vitamin D because vitamin D is extremely important for your bone health and it helps your body absorb calcium. And it's also important for all the other minerals and vitamins and hormones. So unless you can sit in the sun, which unfortunately you can't in the UK, you need to supplement with vitamin D. So from September to about now, you need to supplement with vitamin D. Now, brands wise, probably one of the best brands that's in the UK is a company called Zuki. That's Zooki. They are an award-winning company. They do sachets. Now they do sachets of vitamin C, which is the best version of vitamin C you can take, because vitamin C is water-soluble vitamin, meaning as soon as you take it, it dissolves in your body. So unless you're taking huge amounts of it, you're not going to get any benefit. So this version of vitamin C has a lipid or a fat shield. So as soon as you take it, it goes into your cells and into your bloodstream. So you get pretty much an immediate benefit. Now you can get that online, either single packs or it comes on, I think, a box of 30, or you can buy them from Planet Organic or from Holland and Barrett. So vitamin C will again help protect your cells against oxidative stress. Okay. Then vitamin D, they also do vitamin D. Otherwise, you can take from a company called Viridian. So it's a little liquid drop. So it's about 1 ml every day you take. Uh, a probiotic is obviously like a minimum as well. The omega-3. So the omega-3 that I take is from Wiley's, I believe. So Wileys. Okay,
Okay, thank you very much.
that's fine.
Hi there, my name's Rowan.
This
Thank
is
you. It's
this is
very...
Mayuri.
Oh, sorry, go on. Sorry, go for it.
This is Mayuri. I just want to find out if you know of any non-dairy probiotic.
Yeah, so I take from a company called either Biomel, which is Biomel. That's a coconut drink. Or the other one, which I've just come across, which I really like, is from Cocos, Cocos. Again, it's a coconut one, but it's a really nice thick coconut one. So the one I'm taking at the minute, I got from Ocado. So it's organic coconut with mango. That's really nice.
Mhm.
Yes, Rohan?
Yes, hello there. Thank you for, first of all, it was a very informative presentation. And I love the calm and relaxed pace that you actually practice what you preach. My question is around caffeine. Now, I only have 1 cup of coffee mid-morning and I have, say, a cup of green tea. Not too late in the day because otherwise it doesn't help with my sleep patterns. And I've always been a light sleeper, which I can get away with.
Sorry, Rohan, can you just put your volume up? It's a little bit low, please.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was saying, I don't, I don't drink much caffeine. I'm not talking about downing cans of Red Bull, which is not a good thing, but just gives you a temporary high, etc. But I've read about how caffeine or coffee, I don't know if the marketing has antioxidants as well. So I just wondered generally what your thoughts are on caffeine are.
Yeah, so caffeine, like I said earlier, is obviously part of the Mediterranean diet. So yeah, it's a big thing that obviously is fine to take. I don't drink much of it just because of the the caffeine. I get kind of shaky after a couple of minutes. But yeah, it's fine to take. What we have to remember is caffeine is one of the most sprayed crops on the planet. So it's really important that you get organic coffee.
Right.
Because obviously most of those chemicals are neurological toxins and hormone disruptors. And if your body is stressed, your hormone system is all over the place anyway. So you don't want to add things which is then going to further disrupt your health.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, there's lots of different options in terms of organic coffee. Waitrose do ground coffee or beans. If you use the Nespresso, Waitrose do them as well, organic versions. So yeah, you just have to shop around.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I just ask you to remind us, what is the difference between stress and anxiety?
Anxiety creates the stress response, essentially. So essentially, it's the same thing, but anxiety leads to the stressful response. Now, stress per se is not thing because stress, what you have to think of is stress is your body's reaction to a thought or something that's happening to you. So stress is basically the condition, if you like. Whereas anxiety or worry or negative thoughts or whatever creates the stressful response in your body.
Okay. So how can we identify the early signs of stress in our body?
That's a good question. So short term, if you are stressed, things like your skin might get dry or you might get clammy hands. Your heart rate is going to be up. Your mouth might get dry. You might have a headache. You might feel a bit dizzy or lightheaded. You might get a bit shaky. Your legs might get or feel quite heavy. So that's usually the first kind of easiest ways to notice, obviously, if your body is creating or if you are stressed. Now, long term, again, long term is usually depending on obviously how well your body is dealing with stress, is most of the time, like I said, your body is going to recreate a pain or a symptom or a disease because it can't live with chronic stress and inflammation. So rather than waiting for the pain or the symptom or the disease to occur, work on strategies that you can do every single day to basically reduce the effects of stress on your body. And most of the time, it's just how well you eat, move, and think. So eat a healthy, balanced diet, go for a walk, even going for a half an hour walk, significant benefits. But also make sure you sleep because a lot of people don't realize the impacts of not sleeping on your health and your well-being. I'll give you an example. When you're stressed, like I said earlier, your pancreas releases glucose all the time for fuel. Now, if you're sleeping, obviously your body is calm because you have different stages of sleep. So your REM sleep is your deep sleep. So that's where your body has the most amount of time to actually heal and to recover. Now, research shows that if you're sleep deprived for 1 week, it so significantly impacts your body's insulin sensitivity or insulin resistance that you will be classed as being pre-diabetic.
I am a diabetic.
So it's really important for you to make sure that you're getting a sufficient amount of good, deep sleep. Now, how you do that, obviously, things like don't eat close to bedtime. Do things like meditation or breathing. You can drink things like chamomile tea, which is really kind of has a calming effect on your nervous system. Have an Epsom salt or magnesium flake bath because it detoxes your body. You can use essential oils. So there's loads of strategies you can do. Obviously, do breathing exercises because you can get your vagus nerve to get your body calm. But like I said, if you're not sleeping enough,
No.
like I said, your body's not going to heal because it doesn't have time to heal.
Well,
Obviously, everyone is different, but anywhere between about 6 to 8 hours is kind of the average good time frame in terms of how much rest your body needs.
yeah. Well, as I've diagnosed myself, I'm a night owl. an early morning, so I don't know what I call myself. But then, can stress ever be beneficial, or is it always harmful?
No, stress is beneficial because, if, like I said, if in an acute situation, you need stress because stress is your body's way to basically to help yourself. It's a coping mechanism. But the
Mm.
problem is with the world we live in, your body's not designed to live in stress because we have technology, we have sitting in front of a computer. But again, stress to me and stress to a lot of other people is different. I've been sitting here for an hour. Your body's not designed to sit for an hour. Your body's designed to move. So to me, this is stress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, like I said, that you have to realize and define what stress means to you. But for me, like I said, this is stress. So in the short term, well, yeah, this is not good for me. But if you have a short term, like I said earlier, if you're involved in a car accident or whatever, you have that stressful event, your body is all over the place, it wants to protect you. So that's a good thing. Okay. Or you're being chased by a dog. You're scared of dogs, you run away. Your body kicks in, you're running away, your heart rate accelerates. When the dog is away or you far away from the dog, calm down. Okay. Yes, that's beneficial. But the problem is every single day we have stress. And if you have that stress response every single day, the net result is pain, illness, and disease.
Mm.
Because your body is not designed to live in that stressful response over and over and over and over again. So you need to proactively, like I said, work on coping mechanisms to help your body cope better with life. And that's how you, like I said, it's breathing, eating healthy, balanced diet, doing regular exercise, taking probiotics, getting enough sleep, etc.
So, do I understand myself saying my back starts hurting me? Is that telling me that you are under stress?
Yes,
Oh, okay. But I don't feel
what
stressed then.
it doesn't matter. There's a
Okay.
big difference in terms of your health between how you feel and how you function.
Yeah. Okay.
I have
Nirmal,
a question. I have a question. Are there any good magnesium supplements you can recommend to heal trapped or damaged nerves?
Well, first of all, things like omega-3 is very important.
Yes.
Okay, because if we go back to what I mentioned earlier about your neurons,
Hmm.
so your neurons basically look like that, and then they have like little tentacles coming out.
Yes.
Around them, you have a thing called your myelin. So the myelin is basically the insulation around your neurons. So your myelin needs two things. It needs omega-3 and it needs vitamin B12 to make and to insulate that. So, for example, people who have MS or multiple sclerosis, the myelin gets stripped. So that's why they get a lot of neurological type of symptoms. So omega-3 and B12 is extremely important. In terms of magnesium, like I said, I'm not a nutritionist, so just search online for foods that contain magnesium, because I would rather have you eat foods that contain magnesium rather than taking a chemical which is man-made. If you
Okay.
want to do that, then obviously, again, if you want to think about brands, Viridian is a very good brand. Otherwise, there's ones called Terra Nova. So that's Terra Nova, Nova.
Hmm. Okay.
But I would strongly recommend that you either see a nutritionist or a nutritional advisor so they can
Mhm.
work out obviously a best food plan for you. But then
Yeah.
also you would also need to consider having things like a DNA test. For example, like a hair sample test, where you can actually check your body's health, because you can check your gut health, you can check your stress hormones, and you can check thousands of food products, cosmetics,
Mhm.
etc. and it will tell you exactly how many things you are sensitive or reactive to, how many things are moderate, or how many things you're not sensitive or allergic to. And once you have that, then you know what you should and shouldn't be eating or drinking.
So the DNA test, can the GP get it organized?
Say again?
The DNA test, can the GP get it arranged?
Yeah, the company is called Check My Body Health.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a kit in the post, and then you just have to cut some of the hair as close to the root as you can. You put it in a bag, you post it back to them, and then they test depending on which kit you like to go for. The one I recommend is 49 pounds. So that's the most thorough kit. And that checks over 1,300 different things. Like I said, including your gut health, your stress hormones, and sugar, gluten, dairy, E numbers. The list is endless. And then you get a 30, 40 page document, which then breaks down and it says high reactivity or sensitivity to all of these things, moderate and no reactivity. So everything in red you cut out because your body doesn't like that. And once you do that, then you start paying attention to things like your mood, your energy levels, your concentration, your sleep, your digestive health, your skin health.
It's very good.
Namala, you have hand up.
Yes. Good evening, Dr. Zander. Thank you very much for a very informative session today.
You're
My
welcome.
question to you is, I was obviously concerned about the oils. I mean, at one time we told that for your heart, it's good to have rapeseed oil, and now we're hearing rapeseed oil is no good for you. And we get all this conflicting, information. So, what should we be using for cooking, for example?
Either you can use ghee
Yes.
or just a good organic olive oil. You can use sunflower oil a little bit, but again, it has to be organic. But
Organic, yeah.
preferably olive oil would be the best.
And thank you very much. And just like to say about the Check My Body, we've had that done, and it obviously they do give you a long list and everything. So you read it, and then some of it is common sense as well. Some things that might not agree with you, anything. Oh well, I've been having this, and this is why. And yeah, it's worth having a go.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody? If not, then I've still got one more.
Yes.
So, what I'm thinking, is there a link between the chronic pain or inflammation and long-term stress?
Yes. Because like I said, when you get stressed, your body releases all the stress hormones and it shuts down your immune system.
Yeah.
Now, you need your immune system to fight bacteria, viruses, flu viruses, whatever else. But if your immune system is shut down, obviously you're going to get short term and long term, your disease susceptibility and your health is going to be compromised because your immune system is not working properly.
Right.
So yes, that and then long-term high sugar or high glucose and inflammation, because like I said, your body needs nutrients, so it extracts it from wherever it can over time. So yes, chronic stress does lead to chronic health conditions. And most of these chronic health conditions are preventable because it's lifestyle diseases. Smoking, drinking, stress, lack of sleep, poor posture, bad food. So it's not rocket science. Just eat better, get enough sleep, do regular exercise, maintain good posture. Easy.
Yeah. Okay, there's last question on the chat. What does chiropractic, sorry, what does chiropractic treatment involve?
So when you go and see a chiropractor would basically assess your spine. And then depending on obviously the findings of the assessment, they would take, for example, any postural photos. I use software in my practice where we take photos of your posture and we can analyze how your posture is affecting your health and how that might be impacting if, for example, you've got back pain or neck pain, for example, because we can track basically if you take a photo from the front, the software analyzes the eye level, the shoulder level, the rib cage, the hips, and then it draws a center line. So basically, it can tell you if your body's shifted to the side, if your head is tilted, if so, by how many centimeters. Then we take a photo from the side. So then if your head is coming forward, that reduces your lung capacity. It can lead to things like pinched nerves in your neck, disc herniations, arthritis, etc. So we want to see how far the head is. And then obviously we'll assess your spinal health, check for any joints in your spine which are not moving properly or which are out of their normal alignment, assess your neurological function. So we check your muscles, your reflexes, your sensation in different parts of the arms, for example, because the nerves in your neck would control different areas of skin, etc. And also depending on what you come in with, do the specific test based on that. And then based on the assessment, if we feel we need to have any imaging taken, so for example, have x-rays taken or an MRI, then obviously we'll take those so we can obviously see exactly what your spine looks like. And then we take all of that information and we sit down with you and we say, this is the problem. Well, these are the problems. This is what we need to work on. This is my plan. This is what you need to do. And the way that I work is I will always give you the tools to start improving your health and your spinal health yourself, because I can do the work with you. I can't do it for you. So it's very easy for me to work on finding a joint in your spine, which is out of its normal alignment. And it's very easy for me to work on getting it corrected. However, life goes on, stress goes on, poor posture goes on. So you have to proactively look after your spine for, ideally, for life. Not because it hurts, but because it's protecting your nervous system. From childhood, we are told to brush your teeth. Why? Why shouldn't you look after your spine? So when chiropractors will work on the spine, obviously it just depends on a lot of factors, but we can obviously vary how we would adjust or treat the spine, whether that be a manual adjustment or using an instrument or whatever, to start getting your spine as healthy as we can. And by getting your spine healthy, to start getting your brain healthier.
I have a question, please.
Yes.
My sciatic pain goes down from the back to the left foot, and my left foot is sort of numb. I get pins and needles, and I don't get a good feeling. So can I use a TENS machine to stimulate the sciatic nerve on the foot? Can I use the machine on the foot?
I can't say yes, I can't say no, because like I said, I don't know your case. But what you have to remember is if the joint in your spine, again, is out of alignment, squeezing that nerve,
Yes.
we can't take a painkiller to fix it. You can't stretch it. You can't tense it. You can't put a patch on there. Obviously, it might help for the pain, but the pain isn't the problem. The problem is the problem.
Yes.
And we have to work on the problem.
Yes.
So the sciatica could be from lots of reasons. It could be from a disc bulge. It could be from muscle referral. It could be lots of things. So basically, a disc bulge would look like, you want to see? Basically, that's a disc bulge.
Yes. Yes.
So again, you need to have an
bulge.
assessment and obviously possibly then maybe have an MRI, because that's the only way for you to see if you have that.
Okay, so it's a L4, L5, S1 issue.
Okay.
And also I get hip pain because of that.
Okay.
So the first thing for me to get done is an MRI, yeah, of the hip and the back.
No, like I said, you need to have an assessment first, and then based on the results of your consultation, then obviously the chiropractor, whoever, will be able to give you a better understanding in terms of you need L45 X-ray for that, or you need an X-ray for your hip, or you need an MRI, or both. So I can't say.
Okay, fine, I understand. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, I now have to say thank you very much. I thank you all to the participants for attending today's insightful session on the stress as part of our Emotional Wellbeing Insight series. And a special thank you to Dr. Xander van der Walt for sharing his expertise and offering such valuable guidance on managing stress and understanding the powerful connection between our thoughts, bodies, and healing. So we hope you're all walking away with a clearer understanding of how stress affects your overall health. Practical tools like meditation, nutrition, and mindful, which I started saying this in the beginning, and renewed confidence in your ability to manage life's challenges and resilience calm. So stay connected, stay healthy, and keep nurturing your well being. And we look forward to seeing you at our next session next Thursday, and that is on headaches and migraines. How about that? Who suffers with headaches? Please join in next week, same time, same logging in as well, and the password. Thank you very much again, Dr. Zanda. That was a wonderful, informative session we've all had, and we've learned something. I have learned something. So thank you again, and take care.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
evening.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Take care, all. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Doris. Bye.
Goodbye.